Hey everyone, welcome to Express in English. I'm Leo, coming to you from Los Angeles.
And I'm Chris, joining from New York City. Today we're talking about something we deal with every single day, how we get around our cities and what life is like on opposite coasts.
Right. So, Chris, I have to ask, how do you survive without a car? I literally cannot imagine my life without driving. I drive everywhere here in LA.
You know what's funny? I ask myself the same question, but the opposite way. How do you survive with a car?
Ha! Fair enough.
Like here in New York, having a car would be such a headache. Where would I park it? The parking fees alone would cost more than my rent back in college.
Wow, really?
Oh, yeah. And then there's traffic. I mean, you have traffic in LA too, but at least you're sitting in your own comfortable car with your music, your air conditioning.
True.
In New York traffic, you're just stuck on the street. But honestly, I love taking the subway. It's fast, it's predictable, and I can read or listen to podcasts during my commute instead of focusing on driving.
Okay, I'll give you that. When I'm driving, I can't really do much else. I listen to music or podcasts too, but I still have to pay attention to the road.
Exactly. But tell me about the freedom aspect. I imagine having a car gives you so much more flexibility, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like, if I want to go to the beach in Malibu, or drive up to the mountains, or even just go to a grocery store at midnight, I can just get in my car and go. I don't have to check train schedules or worry about the last subway of the night.
That does sound nice.
Plus, LA is so spread out. Everything is far from everything else. Without a car, it would take me literally hours to get anywhere.
Right. That's the big difference. New York is so compact and dense. I can walk to three different coffee shops, two grocery stores, and probably 50 restaurants within like a 10-minute radius of my apartment.
That's crazy to me. My nearest coffee shop is a 5-minute drive.
5 minutes of driving? Yeah, that would be like a 40-minute walk or something.
Exactly. But you know what I do love about driving? The peace and quiet. My car is like my private space. I can sing along to music as loud as I want, take phone calls, or just have some alone time to think.
That sounds really nice, actually.
What about the subway, though? Isn't it really crowded and noisy?
It can be, especially during rush hour, but you get used to it. And there's something kind of energizing about being around all these different people, like you're part of this big city ecosystem.
Interesting.
Plus, I have good headphones, so I can create my own little bubble when I need to. And honestly, people watching on the subway is incredible. You see every kind of person, business people, artists, tourists, families. It's like the whole world is right there.
That's actually really cool. In my car, I'm pretty isolated. I see other cars, but I don't really interact with anyone unless I'm road raging at someone who cut me off.
Oh no, do you get road rage?
Not real road rage, but, the occasional frustrated sigh or talking to myself like, come on, buddy, the light is green. But that's about it.
Yeah, I get it.
But what about when you need to go somewhere that's not on the subway line? Like, what if you want to go hiking or visit friends in the suburbs?
That's where it gets tricky. For hiking, I usually take a bus or train out of the city, or sometimes I'll rent a car for the weekend. And for visiting friends in the suburbs, I either ask them to pick me up from the train station, or yeah, I rent a car.
Right, that makes sense.
But honestly, I don't need to do those things very often. Most of my life happens within the city, and the subway gets me everywhere I need to go quickly and cheaply.
How much does it cost? I spend probably like $300 a month on gas, not to mention car insurance and parking.
Wow, really? My monthly subway pass is like $130. That covers unlimited rides anywhere in the city,
Okay, that's actually a great deal when you put it that way.
right? Plus, I don't have to worry about maintenance, repairs, registration fees, all that stuff. And I'm probably in better shape because I walk way more than you do.
Ugh, don't remind me. You're totally right about that. I probably walk like 1,000 steps a day, and that's just from my apartment to my car and from my car to wherever I'm going.
1,000 steps. I probably walk like 10,000 steps just getting to and from the subway stations.
That's incredible. But you know what? I think it's just about what you're used to. Like, when I visit New York, taking the subway is kind of exciting and fun because it's different. But doing it every day, I think I'd miss having my own space and the flexibility.
Totally. And when I visit LA, I love being able to drive around and see all the different neighborhoods. But the idea of sitting in traffic on the 405 every day, no thank you.
Ha! The 405 is definitely a nightmare. But you know what's interesting? I think our transportation choices really shape how we experience our cities.
What do you mean?
Well, like, because I drive everywhere, I tend to think of LA in terms of destinations. You know, like, I'm going to Santa Monica or I'm going to Hollywood. It's all about getting from point A to point B.
Ah, interesting.
But because you walk and take the subway, you probably notice a lot more about the neighborhoods you're moving through, right?
Yes, exactly. Like I know which blocks have the best street art, or where the good coffee smells are coming from, or which subway musicians are playing on different days.
That's so cool.
I feel like I'm really connected to the rhythm of the city in a way that maybe you can't be when you're enclosed in a car.
You're probably right about that. Although I will say, I do get to see some amazing sunsets during my commute, especially when I'm driving west in the evening.
Okay, that does sound beautiful.
And there's something really meditative about a long drive, especially when traffic isn't too bad. It's like moving meditation.
That's an interesting way to think about it.
But honestly, after talking to you, I'm kind of curious to try living without a car for like a month, just to see what it's like.
And I'm curious to try having a car. Maybe we should do an experiment and switch lifestyles for a week.
Oh my God, that would be hilarious. You trying to navigate LA without a car, and me trying to figure out the New York subway system.
We should totally do that. Maybe that could be a future episode, our transportation swap experiment.
I love that idea. All right, everyone. Looks like we might have a future episode planned. Thanks for listening to this coast to coast conversation about how we get around our cities.
Whether you're driving, taking public transit, biking, or walking, we hope this gave you some useful vocabulary and natural conversation examples for talking about transportation and city life.
We'll see you next time on Express in English. Until then, safe travels however you get around.
See you soon.
Actually, you know what? Let's start planning this right now. What would be the biggest challenge for you if you had to drive around LA for a week?
Oh, wow. Let me think. Honestly, probably the parking. Like, I have absolutely no idea how to parallel park anymore. I probably learned it 15 years ago for my driver's test and haven't done it since.
Ha! That's hilarious. Well, good news is, here in LA, we don't parallel park that much. Most places have parking lots or valet, but you definitely need to get comfortable with freeways and lane changes.
Freeways sound terrifying to me, all those cars going so fast, having to merge, changing lanes. And what about my biggest fear? What if I get lost? In New York, I can just look for a subway map or ask someone. But on a freeway,
Oh, man, that's actually a great point. GPS is your lifeline here. Like, I literally cannot function without my phone's map app. But you know what would be challenging for me in New York? Just figuring out which train goes where. The subway map looks like spaghetti to me.
Okay, but here's the thing about the subway. Once you understand the basic logic, it's actually pretty intuitive. Like numbers go north, south, letters go east, west mostly. And there are apps that tell you exactly which train to take and when the next one comes.
That sounds reasonable, but what about safety? I have to admit, I'm a little nervous about the subway late at night. Is that something you think about?
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because I think a lot of people have that perception. But honestly, I feel pretty safe on the subway, even late at night. There are usually other people around, there are cameras and transit police. Plus, statistically, you're way more likely to get in a car accident than have something bad happen on the subway.
That's actually a really good point about the statistics. I never thought about it that way. Although I will say, driving does have its own safety challenges. Like, there are some really aggressive drivers here. And don't get me started on people texting while driving.
Oh, yeah, the texting and driving thing is scary. At least on the subway, if someone's distracted by their phone, they're not operating a 2,000-pound vehicle. But you know what? Let's give our listeners some practical tips. If someone from New York visits LA, what would you tell them about getting around?
Great idea. Okay, so first, rent a car or use rideshare, but know that distances are deceiving here. What looks like a quick trip on the map might take an hour in traffic. Always check traffic apps before you leave and plan your day geographically. Try to do all your Venice Beach activities in one trip, all your Hollywood stuff another day.
Perfect advice. And for LA people visiting New York, get a Metro card or just use your phone to pay. Download a subway app like City Mapper, and don't be afraid to ask people for directions. New Yorkers have this reputation for being rude, but we're actually pretty helpful when it comes to navigation. Oh, and wear comfortable shoes. You'll be walking so much more than you're used to.
That's so true about the walking. And speaking of daily rhythms, Chris, I'm curious, how does your commute time affect your daily schedule? Like, do you have to plan around rush hour the way I do?
Oh, absolutely. Rush hour on the subway is real. Like from about 7:30 to 9:30 in the morning and 5 to 7 in the evening, the trains are packed. But the nice thing is they run more frequently during rush hour. So even though it's crowded, you're not really waiting longer. It's just cozy.
Cozy is a nice way to put it. Here in LA, rush hour is more like rush hours, plural. It starts around 6:30 a.m. and can last until 10, then picks up again around 2 p.m. and goes until 8 p.m. So I basically plan my entire day around avoiding those times when possible. If I have a meeting in Santa Monica at 4 p.m., I'm leaving at 2:30.
Wow, that's intense planning. You know what I love about the subway though? I can be spontaneous. Like, if a friend texts me at 7 p.m. asking if I want to meet for dinner in Brooklyn, I can literally be there in 30 minutes. No worrying about parking, no calculating drive time with traffic.
That spontaneity sounds amazing. I guess the trade-off for me is that once I'm in my car and going somewhere, I can change my mind and go somewhere completely different. Like, I might start heading to the grocery store and then decide to drive to the beach instead, or take a detour through a neighborhood I've never seen before.
That's true. You have that flexibility to explore. But can we talk about weather for a second? Because that's something I don't think about much in New York since I'm mostly underground or indoors. But you're exposed to the elements when you're walking to your car, right?
Well, Luckily in LA, the weather is pretty consistent. But you're right that if it does rain, which happens maybe 20 days a year, getting to your car can be a pain, especially if you parked far away. But what about you in New York winters? Walking to subway stations in snow and ice sounds rough.
Okay, I'll be honest. New York winters are brutal when you're relying on walking and public transit. Like when there's a blizzard, sometimes the subway delays get crazy, and waiting on outdoor platforms when it's 15 degrees, not fun. I definitely understand why people want cars during those months.
That sounds miserable. But we should probably mention the environmental aspect too. I'll admit, I feel a little guilty sometimes about my carbon footprint. Driving everywhere definitely isn't great for the environment.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the benefits of public transit. Like one subway car can carry hundreds of people who would otherwise be in individual cars. It's not perfect, but it's definitely more efficient. Plus, it forces cities to be denser and more walkable, which has all sorts of positive effects.
That's a great point about density and walkability. And I imagine you probably feel more connected to your community in some ways. Like you're literally sharing space with your neighbors on the subway, walking the same streets. I'm mostly isolated in my car bubble.
Well, this has been such an interesting conversation. I feel like I understand your car dependent lifestyle so much better now.
Same here. And I'm definitely going to pay more attention to how my transportation choices shape my experience of LA. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this coast to coast conversation about getting around our cities.
We'll see you next time on Express in English. Until then,